It was Good Friday, and I was really hoping that Friday that I wouldn't have to go to church. I wanted to go to a friend's house or spend the day on my bed, on a couch, doing nothing. And slowly, as the clock reached 6 o'clock, I was crossing my fingers and I was like, please no, please no, please no. And my mom and dad are like, Jake, get ready, we need to leave in 5 minutes. I was devastated, which is odd. I really didn't want to go to church. I wasn't really in it. And I walked in there that Good Friday and I was not wanting to be there. I cannot tell you what the service was about. I couldn't tell you who the pastor was. As he, told us to rise and greet those around us, I kind of just turned in a circle, kind of protected my hand so I wouldn't have to shake anybody's hand. I didn't want to interact with people. I didn't want to be there. And I think that held really true for kind of reflecting how much I wanted to be involved in my faith life. I kind of wanted to stay in my own box. I wanted to look around, but I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be in God's presence. Sermon ends, and the pastor all motions for us to rise, and we start singing a couple of hymns, and this was kind of my epiphany moment. I can't tell you what any of the other songs were, but one song we sang that I had never heard before was Ah, Holy Jesus, How Hast Thou Offended. The next line was, Who was the guilty, who brought this upon thee? And that really got me thinking. I'm guilty. Christ died for me, and I kind of just believed I was already saved. The next line came, and it was, Alas, my treason, Jesus hath undone thee. And at that point, I was fully into the song. I kind of sang a little bit louder, hoping that nobody would hear everything that I was thinking about and my heart that was pounding. And as we continued into the song, the next lyrics just kind of confirmed some of those feelings for me. It was, "'Twas I, Lord Jesus, I it was denied thee." And so at that point, I had a couple of voice cracks, either because I was going through puberty or because, I really could not handle the mental blows I was taking as I was singing this song, because everything was so personal. I was the person who was guilty for Christ's death. I mean, we all were, but for me then it was very personal. I was the one that put him up on that cross. He obviously chose it on his own, but I'm very much the reason he was up there. And it ended with the words, I crucified thee. At that point, I sang the words, I crucified thee, and I was pretty much done. For me, the song was over. I couldn't tell you what verse 4 was. But by that point, I was completely broken. I had become extremely familiar with somebody who was trying very hard to knock on a door in my life. And I wouldn't let him in. In that moment, if I would have had the bravery to, I would have wanted to clutch the pew and absolutely scream, I crucified thee. Is I the one who whipped you, who nailed you to the cross? And I wanted to yell so badly, I was the one who didn't believe you. I was the one who killed you. And yeah, I ended up getting up, leaving church, kind of had those cold shivers, and everything was kind of numb. I didn't really notice anything. I didn't really care to leave to a friend's house at this point. I had just kind of wanted to go home and cry. In the course of one song, I was broken and reintroduced to somebody I thought I knew very well. And so that night I prayed a weird prayer. I kind of went into prayer and I said, "Dear Jesus, hey, it's me. Nice to meet you." It doesn't get any easier. I think that was the point when I kind of realized how much Christ had done for me and how much I can't take the Christian life lightly. I no longer credited my upbringing, my biblical knowledge, everything that I did know as good enough. In that moment, I started thinking about one of the lessons I had with my Bible teacher in high school, and he talked about when he was born again. And he said, I can't really explain it. You don't know when you've really made it, but he says there's a feeling. And I was like, a feeling? There's nothing really to go off of. That's not scientific or anything like that. He says, but there's a feeling. He says, when I was born again, I knew. He says, I knew I was going to heaven. He said, I had an assurance. He said, I was very reassured. I had so much peace. And he says, I just knew. And in that moment, when I was singing those lyrics, I had a panic attack. I was like, I don't know this feeling. I know there's a God. I know he exists, but I don't have this feeling that I'm going to heaven. I am not completely assured of that. For all I know, I deserve hell, like the whole 9 yards. Fire, brimstone, the like. And so I was terrified. And that sounds very kind of Puritan almost, to be just absolutely afraid of God. But I think it kind of needed to happen for me. God's plan, God's unexpected plan, God's alternative ending.